You ever be watching an anime and suddenly realize, wait, this dude is too strong. Like, why are we even still watching? He could end the entire plot right now. Yeah, that's when you know the writers had to hit that emergency button and nerf the character before the story turned into a one-man show. Today, on Zen Otaku, we're talking about 10 overpowered anime characters who had to be nerfed. We've got geniuses who lost their shine, literal gods who got locked away, and absolute monsters who were just too good for their own story. So stick around till the end. You'll probably get mad remembering how unfair some of these nerfs were. 1. Gohan, Dragon Ball Z, Super Let's Start Strong, with the biggest heartbreak in anime history. Gohan, Goku's son, the kid who single-handedly took down Cell and made the entire fandom believe he was the future of Dragon Ball. When he turned Super Saiyan 2, it felt like the torch was being passed. He was destined to be the new main character. And then, he became a scholar. No more training, no more rage, just a guy doing math homework and dressing up as the great Saiyaman. Like, bro, you defeated Cell. Why are you posing for cameras in spandex? Gohan's nerf was pure narrative survival. Akira Toriyama realized that if Gohan kept growing at that pace, Goku would be completely irrelevant. So for the sake of keeping his main man in the spotlight, Gohan got the biggest power downgrade in shonen history. 2. Saitama, One Punch Man. Now let's talk about the definition of overpowered. Saitama, the guy who literally defeats everyone with a single punch. The ultimate parody of shonen tropes. But here's the genius part. The writers couldn't nerf his power, so they nerfed his screen time. They kept putting him in situations where he's either late to the fight, shopping for groceries, or dealing with boring hero bureaucracy. Because if Saitama showed up at the start of every battle, there'd be no story, just a punch and the credits rolling. That's the brilliance of One Punch Man. The nerf isn't physical, it's structural. The comedy and tension only exist because the most powerful guy in the world isn't allowed to fix everything instantly. 3. Itachi Uchiha, Naruto alright. Time for one of the most beloved characters in anime, Itachi. The man, the myth, the Sharingan legend. He was cool, calm, and so overpowered that Kishimoto had to come up with a terminal illness just to make things fair. Throughout most of Naruto, Itachi is sick, coughing up blood while casually outsmarting everyone and using god-tier jutsu like it's nothing. Imagine him healthy? He could have wiped out the Akatsuki, stomped Madara, and ended the entire war before it started. So yeah, Itachi's nerf wasn't about skill, it was about survival. The writer had to weaken him so the rest of the cast could exist. Even sick, Itachi still carried half the emotional weight of the series. 4. Gojo Satoru, Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo. The man who made every villain in Jujutsu Kaisen think twice before showing their face. Gojo Satoru is pure power, the limitless technique, the 6 eyes, literal infinity between him and his enemies. The guy is a walking, you can't touch me barrier. And that's exactly the problem. He's too strong. So what does the author do? Seal him away. Constantly. Every time there's a major battle, Gojo just happens to be busy, trapped, or conveniently out of reach. It's like the story's running on hard mode, but only because the strongest player is AFK. Gojo's nerf is the classic plot device nerf. Not a reduction of strength, just keeping him out of the field so the rest of the cast can actually do something. 5. Ainz Ual Gaon, Overlord. Now for some isekai greatness. Ainz Ual Gaon, the undead overlord who went from gamer to god. This guy could snap his fingers and erase kingdoms, and yet, he doesn't. Why? Because Overlord isn't about battles anymore. It's about politics, power, and paranoia. The writers nerfed Ainz not by limiting his strength, but by forcing him into moral and strategic dilemmas. He hesitates, plans, manipulates, but rarely fights. It's a psychological nerf. He's still the strongest being alive, but he has to play the long game. And honestly, it makes Overlord so much more interesting, watching a god try to act human. 6. Madara Uchiha, Naruto Shippuden. Madara's the poster child for the writer lost control. By the time he got both the Rinnegan and the power of the Sage of Six Paths, he was practically a demigod. He soloed entire armies like it was a Tuesday. But then, the plot ran out of options. Madara was so powerful that there was no believable way to beat him, so Kishimoto literally replaced him with Kaguya out of nowhere. It's one of the most infamous nerfs ever. Not because his strength changed, but because the story itself hit a wall. Madara didn't lose. The plot had to delete him to move on. 7. Kenpachi Zaraki, Bleach Kenpachi's a beast. From the very start of Bleach, he was this raw, wild, battle-loving maniac who lived for the thrill of combat. And the crazy part? He was holding back the entire time. His eye patch literally seals his spiritual energy. He nerfed himself just to make fights last longer. Kubo had to put restrictions on him, because if Kenpachi ever fought at full power, half the cast would have been wiped out instantly. It wasn't until much later in the series that he finally cut loose, and that's when we all realized how terrifyingly strong he truly was. Kenpachi's the definition of a character too fun to weaken permanently, but too strong to use freely. 8. Meliodas, the 7 Deadly Sins. Meliodas is another case of, if he fought seriously, the show would be over in 5 minutes. The captain of the 7 Deadly Sins is literally part demon royalty, nearly immortal and ridiculously overpowered. But throughout the series, the writers kept finding ways to restrain him, sealing his powers, controlling his emotions, or just emotionally handicapping him with Elizabeth's endless suffering. It's constant nerfing, but it works. Because watching Meliodas slowly regain his power and sanity keeps the story engaging. Full power Meliodas is too much for anyone, even the other sins. 9. Escanor, the 7 Deadly Sins. Speaking of the 7 Deadly Sins, we can't skip Escanor. He's literally the embodiment of the sun. During the day, his power rises until he becomes the One, a walking god of arrogance and fire. But of course, there's a catch. The One lasts only 1 minute, and when he pushes it to the limit, it costs him his life. Escanor is the perfect example of the limited god trope. He's unstoppable for 60 seconds, and then he's gone. It's the only way to balance a character that powerful, and honestly, it makes his final moments all the more legendary. 10. Levi Ackerman, Attack on Titan. And finally, humanity's strongest soldier, Levi Ackerman. From the moment he appeared, Levi was slicing up Titans like it was a morning workout. Precision, agility, reflexes. He was unstoppable. But here's the thing. If Levi kept that level of dominance the whole time, Attack on Titan would have been over by Season 2. So what happens? He gets injured. Repeatedly. Every time the plot needs to raise the stakes, Levi gets sidelined with some brutal wound. Even then, he never stops being a legend. His nerf is one of respect, a reminder that even the strongest soldier can break. And there you have it. 10 anime characters so ridiculously overpowered that the writers had to nerf them to keep the story alive. Because let's be honest, no one wants to watch a show where the main character just speedruns every problem. The nerf isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's what makes a story interesting. It forces even the strongest heroes to struggle, to grow, to feel human. So tell me, which nerf pissed you off the most? Was it Gohan turning into a scholar? Gojo being sealed again and again? Or Escanor's 1-minute time limit? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because here at Zen Otaku, we love diving deep into this kind of stuff. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe to Zen Otaku, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next breakdown. Because here, the power of nostalgia is one thing that will never get nerfed.